Who pays when the sky is rationed? Tonight, Maya unpacks the human cost, unpaid controllers and stranded families. While Leo walks the safety math, we'll track FAA capacity cuts at major hubs and why this shutdown could scramble travel, cargo, and livelihoods. Tonight, the official line says safety first, while the public hears chaos coming. Those two narratives collide as the shutdown stretches into its 6th week.
Safety isn't a slogan. It's people, controllers, screeners, working unpaid, juggling childcare, taking second jobs. That strain is now policy, and that's the scandal.
Or it's the grown-ups pumping the brakes. Unpaid or not, if the system's under pressure, you slow the flow. That's not chaos. That's prudence.
Here's the verified timeline. With the shutdown past 5 weeks, the FAA will cut airline capacity by up to 10% at 40 high-volume markets to preserve safety. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy framed it as risk reduction. His words, "We will restrict the airspace when we feel it's not safe."
And FAA Chief Brian Bedford called it proactive, saying they won't wait for a problem to manifest. That's an admission. The warning lights are already blinking.
He also said the system is extremely safe today and tomorrow. That matters. We're talking margins, not imminent disaster, unless people spin it that way.
Scope. Major hubs like New York's 3 airports, Los Angeles, Chicago, O'Hare, and Midway, Atlanta, Denver, San Francisco, Miami, Las Vegas, and more across over 24 states. The reductions will largely hit between 6 in the morning and 10 at night, with long-haul international flights generally exempt. Airlines were told to phase in cuts over days.
Meanwhile, controllers are unpaid, facing mandatory overtime, and morale's plummeting. One told reporters, "We're at a tipping point." Another handled a night shift alone in bad weather.
Pilots won't launch if they can't do it safely, period. If that means fewer flights for a stretch, it's better than pushing a strained system past the red line.
Phasing looks like roughly 4% on day 1, 5% on day 2, and up to 10% by the following week, though the timetable can shift until the final order lands.
Let's not sanitize this. A union leader says some controllers can't afford gas to get to work or childcare. Others are working deliveries after shifts. Some are resigning.
And Congress could end it by reopening the government. The secretary said he can't legally pay people without appropriations. That's not cruelty, that's law.
Airlines have already canceled hundreds of flights in advance. Early tallies varied. One carrier pegged roughly 170, another about 145 on a first day.
Travelers feel the chaos too. One canceled a New York to Tampa weekend, asking, "If I get there, will I get home?" That uncertainty is the cost of political brinkmanship.
Airlines are waiving change fees, rebooking, even offering refunds on usually non-refundable fares. That's the right play. Also, maybe show up with patience for once.
Industry analytics estimate the cuts could eventually touch about 1,800 flights and roughly 268,000 seats per day if fully sustained.
Others did back-of-the-envelope math off 45,000 daily flights, saying 10% equals 4,500. 2 very different lenses.
Which is exactly the problem. Confusion. Even airlines said they got less than an hour's notice to prepare. Some were still waiting for a formal written order as cancellations began.
There's also disagreement on timing. Some accounts said cuts begin Friday morning. Others suggested as early as Thursday. And the airport list? Drafts circulated. No final order at first.
If the notice was short, that's rough. But think of why. The data flagged rising risk. You do not slow roll a brake pedal on a downhill grade.
Which data? One briefing said the guidance leaned on pilot reports more than controller input. The very people on the scope were sidelined while their warnings piled up.
Pilots, controllers, both are frontline sensors. If both are stressed, policy has to favor throughput reductions. That's not anti-worker, that's pro-safety.
Beyond passengers, cargo hubs in Memphis and Louisville could slow. And because North American airspace is intertwined, domestic disruptions spill into Canada and transoceanic flows.
And smaller cities will be first on the chopping block. Grand Rapids, Chattanooga, Santa Fe. Regional links sacrificed while long-haul and hub-to-hub get protected as revenue priorities.
That's how airlines triage in storms, too. Keep the trunk lines open, trim the twigs. Not pretty, but it preserves the network so it can recover faster.
Travel rights. If your flight is canceled, you're entitled to a refund. But U.S. carriers are not required to cover meals or hotels for delays caused by these operational restrictions.
So the costs shift to families: lost time, extra cash for lodging, missed paychecks, that irony, while the people keeping planes separated work for $0 pay stubs.
If you must travel, take control. Book earlier flights, keep a backup option, pack patience. An airline CEO even suggested buying a backup ticket, unheard of candor for a competitor.
Let's interrogate the evidence gaps. Unknowns persist on the precise list of airports, the definitive start time, and whether exemptions cover all long-haul pairings or just some.
And the elephant in the room: staffing. Reports of more than 400 controller staffing shortfalls since the shutdown began, far above typical levels, point to a human system cracking.
Cracking or groaning? There are about 10,800 certified controllers. If even a fraction steps back, the math bites. That's why cuts are a safety valve.
We should also note, some airlines said they got under an hour of heads up before the mandate. Others heard of a ramp from 4% toward 10% over a week. That inconsistency matters.
It matters because families are planning holidays. The secretary warned of mass chaos if staffing worsens. For workers, chaos arrived when their first paycheck was $0.
Mass chaos is a politician's megaphone. Reality is more like rolling slowdowns. Ugly, yes. Apocalyptic, no. Keep perspective and pressure Congress to do its job.
Airlines are coordinating with regulators and deploying contingency tools, fleet swaps, crew rotations, even AI scheduling to blunt the blow. Think snowstorm playbook, just longer and stranger.
Longer and stranger because it's political harm, not weather. Controllers shouldn't be the rope in a tug of war. End the shutdown, pay workers, reset the safety margin. Full stop.
Agreed on reopening, but spare me the one-sided blame. Both parties have leverage, both are using it. Meanwhile, safety folks are doing the adult thing: cut capacity to buy time.
Passengers should check status frequently, consider flexible plans, and know their rights. If you're stranded, ask about rebooking or refunds. Hotels and meals are not guaranteed under U.S. rules.
Also consider who gets stranded. Smaller cities lose connectivity first. It's not just vacations, it's medical trips, job interviews, caregiving. Inequity shows up in flight schedules.
And don't forget cargo. Overnight lifelines through Memphis and Louisville feed pharmacies and factories. A slowdown there hits shelves and shop floors in a day or two.
One more contradiction. Some briefings said long-haul flights are exempt. Early chatter didn't say so explicitly. We're watching for final language in the FAA's written order.
Meanwhile, controllers are making a daily personal safety call. Am I fit for duty under this fatigue and stress? That burden should not rest on their bank accounts.
True, and pilots make the same call. If there isn't a departure or center controller to work with safely, flights don't go. Avionics can't replace humans in the loop.
We've heard that elite business aviation fields like Teterboro could be on draft lists. If the private jet crowd starts calling, political pressure may spike quickly.
If that's what it takes to value public workers, fine, let the calls roll. But the principle holds. Safety is a public good, and it's being rationed because of politics.
Rationed to protect safety, ironically. The shock is that it took this long. If indicators were flashing, slowing traffic a few days sooner might have saved some whiplash.
As Maya argued earlier, the human toll is mounting. As Leo notes, the system remains safe by design. Both can be true, and that tension is precisely where we are.
And it will worsen. The longer this goes, the more controllers time out, the fewer swaps are possible across facilities due to certifications, the thinner the margin gets.
Exactly why phased reductions exist. 4%, then 5%, then 10% is a pressure relief valve. It's not elegant, but it's a controlled descent instead of a stall.
We should spotlight transparency. Publishing a definitive airport list and timelines would help. So would clarifying whether pilot or controller data drove the call and how thresholds are set.
And Congress owes workers clarity on pay. Telling people to just keep showing up for 30-plus days with $0 in the bank is not governance, it's neglect.
Neglect that can end with a vote. Until then, travelers should act like it's a nationwide weather event. Pack snacks, expect holds, keep your cool with gate agents.
We've heard suggestions to man more phone lines, not just apps. If cancellations scale, people will need humans to reroute complex itineraries, especially across hubs.
Also, protect TSA. Lines grow when screeners are unpaid and attrition rises. Security is part of safety, and you can't bolt that on at the last minute.
And remember, international long hauls likely keep priority. If you're on a short regional hop connecting to a big overseas leg, pad your connection or rethink your routing.
Recap before we look ahead. Phased capacity cuts up to 10% at 40 markets, focused on daytime hours, exemptions for long hauls, airlines rebooking and refunding, cargo and regional pain.
Unanswered. Final airport roster, precise start clock, and clear data thresholds. And the core fix, ending the shutdown, remains the only way to restore stability.
Until then, this is an indefinite, deliberate throttle. Not a storm that passes overnight, but not a collapse either. Adjust, adapt, and demand competence from Washington.
One last note. Integrated skies mean U.S. slowdowns can ripple into Canadian or transcontinental routes. Your flight may be fine, but the sector you overfly might not be.
Which brings us back to people. The controller who said the government pays lip service to their value? Paychecks speak louder, so do safe staffing levels.
Lip service cuts both ways. Politicians racing to cable hits won't keep planes separated. Fund the work, thank the pros, and let the data steer the rest.
Travel tip sheet. Verify status repeatedly. Travel early in the day, avoid tight connects, no refund rules, and consider backup options if your trip is mission critical.
And if you're stranded, document everything. Cancellation notices, expenses, airline communications. You may not get cash for meals or hotels, but paper trails help with claims.
Also, talk to a human. Apps melt under stress. A good agent can see inventory across partners that your screen won't surface in a panic.
Politically, pressure is rising. Lawmakers are weighing deals. The White House is aware of the restrictions. Everyone knows holiday traffic turns this from policy to pain quickly.
If the pain prompts action, it's a bitter route. Workers shouldn't have to bleed to get basic governance. The fix has been the same since day one. Reopen and pay people.
No argument there. But in the meantime, respect the throttle. It's the difference between slower schedules and the mass chaos everyone threatens in sound bites.
We'll keep tracking when the FAA's final written order drops, which airports land on the list, and how quickly staffing and safety margins stabilize or slip.
And we'll keep listening to the people in the tower and the cab. They're the first to know when a system pushed to the edge starts to fray.
And to travelers, the sky isn't falling, it's stacking. Plan for that stack and make your voice heard where it counts, in your representative's inbox.
On our next episode, we'll bring you the finalized airport roster, if it's out, the latest cancellation trends, and whether Congress moves before the throttle tightens further.